Hi, good evening, friends. Good morning, and um, happy evening to all of you who are from the other side, whatever time you're watching. So, welcome to day four of Gyan Group, and we will continue with the book that we are reading, which is the courage to be disliked. And yesterday we spoke of, we ended where the philosopher is explaining the youth that there is a difference between etiology, that is a study of causation, and the cause. So today the name of the chapter is Trauma Does Not Exist. To continue with that, the youth says, if you're going to state things so forcibly, I'd like a thorough explanation. To begin with, what is the difference you refer to between etiology and teleology? Philosopher. Supposing you got a cold with a high fever and you've gone to see the doctor. Then, suppose the doctor says the reason for your sickness is that yesterday when you went out, you weren't dressed well enough. And that's why you've caught a cold. Now, would you be satisfied with that? The youth. Of course, I wouldn't. It wouldn't matter to me what the reason was, the way I was dressed, or because it was raining or whatever. It's the symptoms, the fact that I'm suffering with a high fever now, that would matter to me. If he's a doctor, I need him to treat me by prescribing medicines, giving shots, or taking whatever specialized measures that are necessary. Philosopher. Yet, those who take an etiological stance, including most counselors and psychiatrists, would argue that what you were suffering from stemmed from such and such cause in the past and would then end up just consoling you by saying, so you see, it's not your fault. The argument concerning so called traumas is typical of etiology. Wait a minute, said the youth. Are you denying the existence of trauma altogether? Philosopher. Yes, I am, adamantly. The youth. What? Aren't you, or I guess I should say, Adler, an authority of psychology? Philosopher. In Adlerian psychology, trauma is definitively denied. This was a very new and revolutionary point. Certainly, the Freudian view of trauma is fascinating. Freud's idea is that a person's psychic wounds or traumas cause his or her present unhappiness. When you treat a person's life as a vast narrative, there is an easily understandable causality and sense of dramatic development that creates strong impressions and is extremely attractive. But Adler, in denial of the trauma argument, states the following: no experience is in itself a cause of our success or failure. We do not suffer from the shock of our experiences, the so called trauma, but instead we make out of them whatever suits our purposes. We are not determined by our experiences, but the meaning we give them is self determining. I think this is so important to understand that we make out of them whatever suits our purposes. We are not determined by our experiences, but the meaning we give them is self determining. Youth, so we make of them whatever suits our purposes? Exactly, said the philosopher. Focus on the point Adler is making here when he refers to the self being determined not by our experiences themselves, but by the meaning we give them. He's not saying that the experience of a horrible calamity or abuse during childhood or other such incidents have no influence on forming a personality. Their influences are strong, but the important thing is that nothing is actually determined by those influences. We determine our own lives according to the meaning we give to those past experiences. So it is, he's trying to say it is your personal experience. Or four or five people might have suffered from the same childhood abuse or trauma, but for each of them, The meaning is different because it is very individual, how the individual perceives that. Your life is not something that someone gives you, but something you choose yourself. And you are the one who decides how you live. Youth. Okay, so you're saying that my friend has shut himself in his room because he actually chooses to live this way? This is serious. Believe me, it's not what he wants. If anything, it's something he was forced to choose because of circumstances. He had no choice other than to become who he is now. Philosopher, no. Even supposing that your friend actually thinks I can't fit into society because I was abused by my parents, it's still because it is his goal to think that way. Yeah, that's very rational. The youth, what sort of goal is that? The philosopher. The immediate thing would probably be the goal of not going out. He is creating anxiety and fear as his reasons to stay inside. But why doesn't he want to go out? There's where the problem resides, asks the youth. The philosopher says, well, think of it from the parent's view. How would you feel if your child was shut up in a room? The youth. I'd be worried, of course. I want to help him return to society. I'd want him to be well, and I'd wonder if I'd raised him improperly. I'm sure I would be seriously concerned and try in every way imaginable to help him back to a normal existence. The philosopher says that is where the problem is. The youth, where? The philosopher says if I stay in my room all the time without ever going out, my parents will worry. I can get all of my parents' attention focused on me. They'll be extremely careful around me and always handle me with kid gloves. On the other hand, if I take even one step out of the house, I'll just become part of a faceless mass who no one pays attention to. I'll be surrounded by people I don't know and just end up average or less than average. And no one will take special care of me any longer. Such stories about reclusive people are not uncommon. Youth. In that case, following your line of reasoning, my friend has accomplished his goal and is satisfied with his current situation. The philosopher. I doubt he's satisfied, and I'm sure he's not happy either. But there is no doubt that he's also taking action in line with his goal. This is not something that is unique to your friend. Every one of us is living in line with some goal. That is what teleology tells us. No way. I reject that as completely unacceptable. Look, my friend is. The philosopher cuts him and says, listen, this discussion won't go anywhere if we just keep talking about your friend. It will turn into a trial in absentia, and that would be hopeless. Let's use another example. Youth, well, how about this one? It's my own story about something I experienced only yesterday. The philosopher says, oh, I'm all ears. So the next chapter is a little, it's 2 pages, but it's something new. And the topic of the chapter is people fabricate anger. And I think I love that topic. Today's itself was also quite deep about how it's um it's the purpose. You want to be there, and that's why like the attention that this friend of the youth is going through, and we want to the trauma, it's how you perceive the trauma, it's what is your purpose behind understanding that trauma or behaving that way. I think these are really important points. And yeah, this is also a point for self contemplation, that have where are we feeling stuck in life, and how can we look at this look at this from a different perspective, right? Look at this from where am I, rather than stepping out, just pretending to be stuck here, and in that situation, not ready to take a step ahead. And I think that's amazing. I think that's very nice. So let's meditate for a few minutes before we close. So you can close your eyes, bring yourself in a comfortable position. Make sure your back is straight, chest is open, shoulders rolled out. Take your own time. And if you feel like you can rub your palms, bring them over your face and eyes, and slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. Lovely to have all of you who are lovely to have you who's listening to this. And I hope this is helping. I hope this it's a little tough, it's a little groundbreaking, it's a little different. And that's why take your time to listen and think about it. And please comment and write what you feel. Thank you. Lots of love. See you tomorrow.